Everything that I've seen has turned me into the woman that you see. Behind all of the smiles and all your favorite melodies, for a fistful of tears, years full of pain.
Hi, I am Leonette Talley, and you're listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is all day, every day. I bring women on the show from all walks of life, and we talk about anything going on in our lives and in our world. Here you will find everyday growth, everyday healing, and everyday warriors. Hello and welcome. I am here today with two my really good friends, Rachael Wahl and Erica Freeman-Jones. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
And we all met from boot camp where Rachael, she has her own boot camp group. I don't know. Do you call it boot camp CrossFit? I like to say CrossFit because it sounds more badass, but you know.
It's kind of a hybrid.
Well, I just tell everyone I do CrossFit. But I actually started with Rachael back in about 2012 after I had my daughter and I gained a ton of weight. And I said, you know what? They're across the street from us, from my church. I'm going to go work out. And so that's how I met Rachael, and she's been training me ever since. That's how I got my naughty body. And then when it's not naughty, it's because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. So don't blame it on her. But anyway, so I've known her since 2012. So that's 8 years. And then Erica came 5 years ago, and she moved here from Detroit, Michigan, and came in and started working out. So we've all been very tight for 5 years. And it all started when Erica decided to question us about not hanging out outside of boot camp. And she just wondered how we all got along inside, the gym. And then outside the gym, we just never hung out. So she made us all come together. And there's about 15 to 20 of us that are just really close, because of this group. But anyways, I just wanted to welcome you ladies.
Thank you.
And so today I have them here because Rachael is a white woman and Erica is a black woman. And I don't ever refer to race like that when I speak of people. But today I am because, with everything going on in our world, especially not the world, here in America, my gosh, everything being so black and so white and all the chaos and just people not understanding each other's differences. I just wanted to bring them on because they've become such awesome friends, and actually they consider themselves best friends, and they come from vastly different walks of life. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and have a little fun because it's fascinating, these two. If you see them out on the street, they're very an odd couple. And it's not just me. Everyone thinks it. So Rachael, let's start with you. In your upbringing, you're from the Deep South. Well, I like to call it the Deep South because we're in Atlanta area, but you're from
a small town called Blakely.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in a traditional type family, mother and father, in with one brother, and the town that I was raised in, very small, very segregated. So. Really, white people and black people didn't really hang out. They weren't really friends. So when I met Erica,
at all?
Well, they would communicate, but you never saw black people and white people hanging out.
Erica, you can chime in because she's just shaking her head like, no. Have you gone? You haven't gone.
No, we're going to make a visit soon, but I haven't been.
So they just were cordial.
Yes.
They existed, but they weren't really friends.
No. So,
and did they live in the same neighborhoods?
No. It was everything. You had your black neighborhoods per se. Of course, there were the exceptions to the rule, but
did you shop at the same stores?
Well, there really weren't many stores there. But
are we talking about the 1800? What year are we talking about?
They still had she grew up with the sign still up.
Yeah.
Black entrance,
So
white
the
entrance,
yes. So,
And this was in the 90s?
yes, I graduated high school in 93, and they actually did have.
Oh, Rachel, I didn't know that. For real, or was it more
They didn't
No.
utilize them, but they were still there.
Right,
Right.
correct,
Okay.
correct, yes.
like for show?
I guess just,
Are they there now?
I don't know. I haven't been there in probably 8 years.
Well, were they there 8 years ago?
They were when I graduated. I would just go back and see my parents for.
Damn. Okay, see, I didn't know
college.
that. You left that little nugget out.
Yeah, so really, you just didn't see much of that.
Intermingling.
The intermingling.
So
of
when you
different
move
races.
here, you're like, wow. Because there's not a ton of us in this area, but Atlanta area, we got a lot of black people.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of blacks and white people there. It's just they didn't mingle.
They didn't hang out.
Right.
That's fascinating.
Right.
And Detroit, you're from up north and so
Midwest.
Yeah.
So but Detroit and its surrounding areas is highly segregated. Detroit, you have the vast majority of us are black, and then you have a city called Hamtramck that sits inside of Detroit, and that's your Chaldean population. And then once you start to get to the outskirts, the more suburban areas, you have Dearborn, which is Arabic, and then you have everything else. Warren, everybody know Eminem from Warren, Michigan. So you have whites, and then black people have migrated to the suburban areas. But when I was growing up, it was highly segregated. So you wouldn't see many white people inside of Detroit unless they were there for other things, picking up drugs, picking up prostitutes. That's when you saw them.
Really?
Yeah.
So you grew up with just around black people?
For the most part, except for the white people who are a part of my family.
Yeah. Wow. See, it's for me, I moved so much that I've just always been around different cultures. So that just fascinates the crap out of me. Cause there's times where I was actually most of the times I'm the minority, but like white people, I feel comfortable, and black people, I feel comfortable around them, and Hispanics, and
Right.
And like in today's world, this wasn't like, you guys are in your 40s. So this wasn't like
No, it isn't.
80 years ago. You get like little old ladies. That is fascinating. Okay. So then you move to this area, Rachel, to the Atlanta area, which is, it's a big city. And then you moved from Detroit 5 years ago, or is it 7 years ago?
Yes.
Well, we've met you 5 years ago, but 7 years ago you moved. And why did you move from Detroit?
It was a job opportunity.
Okay.
So my job moved me here.
And then it's not like it was shocking to see white people. So it wasn't like
I
that.
went to a predominantly white university. I went to Central Michigan.
Okay.
And it was 97% white when I went, and the minority population made up 3%. So it wasn't a shock. Anyway.
Like, were you friends with white people though?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my good friends is Abby, and I was in her wedding and everything. So it was like, I've never been.
So for you, it's not a big deal.
For me,
Rachel.
it's not a big deal. But for this one.
And then you all became friends, which is like really funny to me because.
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
We need to put a picture so people can see what you all look like, because
I bought the Groupon, right? But in the comments, you got to read reviews before you buy the Groupon.
And this is the Groupon to One Rep at a Time, which is Rachel's.
Time Fitness.
Yep.
And I was like, they talking about this Rachael person. And the way she spells her name, I only know mixed or black Rachels that spell the name. I was like, okay, so I can go ahead and buy this one. I walked in like, oh.
Where Rachel?
I was like, yeah, she walked up to me. I was like, yeah, I'm looking for Rachel. She's like, I'm Rachel. I'm like, oh.
In her little southern accent.
I was like, oh, okay.
So you thought she was black?
I sure did.
That is so funny.
I try to support black businesses. And I thought about the spelling of the name, but that's okay. It's okay.
So you tried it out?
I tried it out.
Yeah, you did.
And I loved it.
Yeah. That is so funny. I didn't know that story
And then
either.
you intruded on me on the rower. And then I loved you.
So she is like, when we say she's from Detroit, so she has like a mean mugging face type face when she's not, when she doesn't know you. So she comes in all hard and all like, I don't know nobody. Everyone's all friendly and knows each other. And she and me, I like people and I like them to like me. Not all of them, but The ones that I feel like, you know what, they're good people. I can just tell. I just have that sense about people. But yeah, with Erica, she wouldn't talk to anybody. And we were on a rower. And when you're on a rower, if anybody knows anything about a rower, you can't really go anywhere. So I'm like, oh, I got her. So we're rowing. I'm like, where are you from? What's your name? So that's how I got to know Erica. And then eventually I broke down her walls. And she,
It wasn't hard.
No, I mean, I'm a nice, lovable person.
Right.
But, okay, so back to the two of you, because that's more fascinating. So you go, you get your group on, you work out a few times, you start to warm up to people, her Detroit Wahl came down and she became friends with people. But then you and Rachael became really good friends outside of boot camp.
Right. She was
How the
going
heck did that
through-
happen?
She couldn't take her vacation for her 40th. And that's how the whole planning, that's how I was looking at y'all like, you don't do anything.
And didn't the girls, was that the time where your girls were doing gymnastics?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys saw each other.
Yeah, sometimes.
A
little
okay.
bit. But it really came down to her 40th.
And you
she
just asked
couldn't go.
questions?
Yeah, and I just started asking questions. And then we came up with, okay, let's give her this surprise.
Well, one day I was in the gym really upset. I was going through, it had just happened to be that I was going through an incredibly hard time when Erica joined boot camp. And I was
I didn't
tearing.
want to go there. I didn't know if you wanted me to tell.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I was
No,
tearing,
we're talking today.
yeah, tearing up, and Erica noticed, and I was telling some of the ladies, they asked, what's wrong? I couldn't control my emotions that day. And just so happened my mother had gotten remarried or started a new relationship, and I'd been planning my 40th birthday.
Your dad has
trip.
passed away.
Yes,
right.
my father had passed away, and was planning my 40th birthday trip for like 3 years. And my mom just said, "No, I'm sorry, I can't keep your kids. I'm in this new relationship," and I was kind of devastated because that was really the only family that we had. My husband at the time, his family wasn't really involved. We would see him on occasional holidays, but my parents were the only people that that we could rely on. So I was just a little bummed that day and really emotional about the distance that my mother and I had.
Yeah, that sucks. You planned for 3 years.
Really hard.
And then all of a sudden she's like, I can't keep the kids.
She was crying to Shauna and Mel.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was ear hustling.
You were being nosy. That's what you were
Right?
being.
I still was handling my business though, but I was still ear hustling. And so I was like,
And for those who don't know, Mel and Shauna are two girls that are dear friends of ours and work out with us.
so I just felt really bad for her. And so was it the next time
day,
I showed up for
she
boot
brought me a
camp?
card.
And a Starbucks gift card. At that time, I didn't know Dunkin' Donuts was your choice for coffee. But I got you a $10 Starbucks gift card and wrote you a message like, hey, just lean on your village. But at that time, I didn't know that you all did not hang out.
No. Well, because Rachael is very top secret.
I didn't want to cross the lines.
You're being professional.
Right. I wanted my athletes to take me seriously. I didn't want them to, know the other side of me. I wanted them to know Rachael, the trainer. So I purposely didn't hang out with my athletes until Erica came.
Yeah. So it's not, I don't think it's not that we didn't want to. It was just,
She just
She had the boundaries. Yeah, she had boundaries. Because I think some of us outside of boot camp did hang out together.
Right.
Maybe not all of us together, but definitely not with Rachael. Like you kept it very separate. And I get it.
Right. I got
But
it
you're
too.
still
But
you're still a hard ass whether we're friends or not.
Right.
Damn it. So I don't know what you were worried about.
So it started at that point after the car. And then one day I just stayed after and while she was cleaning up after a night class, and we just had a long conversation just about random things and my upbringing. She really was listening. I don't even know why I sat there and talked that day. Guess I had nothing else to do. I was like, I'm chill and watch her, make sure she get out safe because it was dark over there.
It would be
and
very
I was
dark.
Like, you shouldn't be leaving by yourself.
Yes, it's so funny because Philip, my husband every time nighttime, he's like, should we leave her by herself? And you would always tell us, it's okay. He was always so worried about you. So it was good that Erica stepped in.
I was like, it's too dark. To be leaving
and she's
out
all
by yourself.
Yeah.
So we hung out and just talked and and then I was about to go on an interview. is that the night we had that conversation? That was our first race conversation. Because I had braids in and I was going on an interview for a teaching position.
Okay.
And so I was telling her, I got to take my braids out and go get my hair straightened for this interview. And she was like baffled by that.
Like,
and
why would you have to take your braids out?
I was like, it's all about perception for Black women. Like, we can't walk into a place with braids in. You don't know who's interviewing you and how they perceive that. And if they're going to frown upon that, I have to make sure my image is that of straight hair,
which is very sad.
Right. And so she was
because you look beautiful with braids.
Oh, thank you. And she was like, I think that was her first time ever hearing like, oh wow, so you really have to think about that before you go into a place for employment? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's interviewing you.
So that was your first little like,
That was my first time. Yeah. So then I invited her on my kids. I was planning to take them to the pool and later on that week.
Play date. I said Black people don't do play dates.
Do you want to go on a play date?
You did not, Rachel. You said, did you know what that was, Erica?
I knew what it was. I knew white people did play dates. From where I'm from, we don't do play dates.
Honestly, I'm going to admit to you guys, I don't use the word hate, but I strongly dislike play dates. My kids started using that, and I'm like, we're just hanging out. Why you gotta call it play date? We're just hanging out.
So
it's such a weird word.
We're gonna have would you like to go on a play date? And I was like, I wish these were recording,
like your facial
behind the scenes, because I was like, and I said that to her. I said, Black people don't do play dates, but I'll go to the pool.
Just say, hey, you want to come to the pool? Why you gotta be a play date?
Play date? What?
That is hilarious. What did you do when she said Black people don't do play dates?
I was like, oh, okay. Okay.
I think I threw her off a lot.
She's like, I'm going to make a mental note not to ever ask her on a play date.
She constantly threw me off. So.
Yeah, she still does, right?
Always.
Oh my gosh, that is the funniest thing.
So the play date went well, and I was joking. I was joking. I was calling people like, I'm on a play date.
Your people back in Detroit, you're like, what the hell is a play date?
I was FaceTiming like, I'm on this play date, y'all. And they like, a play date?
That's what they do down here in Georgia.
I was like, it's a whole new world for me, y'all. I don't know what this is.
It is a white thing, isn't it? I don't think I've ever had a Black friend. Well, yeah, no. Ask to go on a play date. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay, so after the play date, did you go on more play dates? Obviously.
No, we just started to hang out.
Right.
So then it was very just like, okay, surface, getting to know one another. We did hang out, but it was just very surface. And I remember the turning point where it became more in depth. And it was, I was sitting in the parking lot and I was getting her hair braided for a competition. And she and I were on the phone. She usually didn't talk on the phone. So we were talking on the phone, and I don't even know how we got on the subject, but the subject was, I was telling her, drugs and guns didn't just magically appear in Black and brown neighborhoods. We don't have access to those types of things. So I was telling her, that's a lot of people are like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. No, where are we getting this from? Like, where is it coming from? If I felt like it's pushed into the it was pushed into the neighborhoods. It was a setup, and she was flat out defensive.
Really?
Very defensive. I guess you don't want to think bad of your own race, I guess, per se. And I just thought everything she was saying was absolutely insane, to the point of I think I just tried to get up or hang up or get away from the conversation. I was like, this is just crazy. I can't even go here. And when we hung up, I don't think it ended that well, actually. I think
you probably hung up on me.
She just
I was like, I can't do this right now, later. So I really started thinking about it. And I started thinking about, by this point we had hung out a lot. And I was like, I really care about her. She's a great friend. So I'm going to try to look within myself, get past that, and really try to listen to what she is saying. So we had a lot more race conversations, a lot of tears. It was really hard.
A lot of cussing on E's part, on Erica's part, right?
Like, damn it.
This is what it is.
I'm like, hey man, suck it up.
Yeah.
Like it's the truth.
I
You
mean,
gotta
it's
look
hard to
deeper.
hear, and I think that's what happens. Is like people don't want to hear it because it's hard to hear. So nothing's ever going to change until you really listen
She didn't
and
understand
understand
that she had walked in her privilege her whole life.
Yeah.
I don't think she ever understood that until I came along and started pointing things out. Just simple, like we ain't gonna call out no places by name, but a nail salon, we would go into frequently, all the time. They would never address me when I walked in. They will always say, "Hey, Rachel." Knowing we come in together, we get services together. They never once called me by my name. And so the last time we went, she was like I was helping her pick a color, and she was like, "You're not getting your nails?" I said, "No. This is going to be the last time I ever come here again because they do not address me when we walk in. It's like they don't see me." And so then we had another conversation about that. Like she got her services that day and I waited on her because we drove together. And it was just like, I'm not going back there. So I think she started to realize.
And I started to pay attention more when we went into stores. And it was true. They would come to me first. They would address me first. If it was a nail salon, they would start working on me or serving me first. And it was just recently that they went to Erica first, and we both noticed it. We were like, oh my God, they went to you first. I mean, after 4 years of getting services together at a salon.
And at first, did you think it was a coincidence until you started paying
Absolutely thought it was a coincidence. For a good year. Oh, it's just a coincidence.
And I'm like, no, they never address me by my name. And if they know your name, they know my name. I said,
I mean, your name is not hard. It's Erica.
Right. I'm like
that's
they
not a hard
always
name.
address you. They never even speak to me. Like I'm not giving them my money. So it was, I think her eyes started to open. And even she picked up my daughter one day from school, and the person at the front didn't even ask her for her ID. I went off, and I called, but it wasn't the regular lady at the front. And so she was on lunch, but it didn't matter. Yeah. It was like I could never walk into their elementary school
and ask for her kids.
Without 5 people showing up wanting to know where my ID is. And so I was like, no, that's your privilege. Like you walked in, blonde hair. Yeah. What you got, hazel eyes? I was gonna say blue eyes.
I was gonna say blue eyes. I'm like,
drinking this wine. Hazel eyes. And they asked her no questions. Just turn my child right on over. I went.
Did you go off on the school?
Child of a different race at that.
Like you, her mama. Clearly, this child black.
Right.
She's not as light as me.
I was gonna say she's a little light skinned, but not as light skinned as you.
Not like me.
That's true. That's true.
So, I went off. So
as
just
you should.
Those types of things, she started to say, oh. She went to pick up her kids one day, and it was a black father in front of her. They asked him for his ID.
And then they did not ask
Then they did not ask her. And so, but at that point, she wasn't really speaking up. And I said, well, when you see things like that, you have to address it. That's doing your part. And so, as she wasn't comfortable yet. I think now she'll be a little more comfortable.
I was trying to look for her a black angel in Hobby Lobby one year.
That's right. Oh my gosh. This was last year, wasn't it?
No, it was several years ago.
Okay, because I remember that text coming in.
It was several years ago.
Oh, shit.
So mad at her.
I was so mad. I could not find a black angel anywhere.
Did you talk to the manager?
Why?
I need a black.
Do you not have black? But thankfully, they are now represented well in Hobby Lobby.
Very well.
And they have black Santa Clauses too.
I
saw that.
This Rachel did this.
Look at you.
We
Look
go
at
in there
you.
now like you did this. Look at all this.
I take credit.
Well, no, that's that. See, even if you weren't not, maybe there was other people that complained and said the same thing, but that's a small thing that you did that changed our Hobby Lobby down the street. Right. Because, that's why I thought it was this year, because we talked about it this year, right? And on your text. I was like, because one of you mentioned it. I'm like, yeah, I went to Hobby Lobby and there was like a ton of black Santas there in July. I don't know why. That's another story for another time. Not the whole Christmas thing in July. Just I don't understand. But
well, we gonna be against you on that.
I don't know. I don't get it. Let's just wait until closer to Halloween. Okay, that's another topic for another day. But so you started seeing things. You started opening your eyes. But that's the thing. Like you were open to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was, although she would get defensive and still does, we're going to move to that because it's still not easy. We have had very current hard conversations, but she started to see things differently, but she was open to that.
Yeah.
And that's what people have to be.
They have to be
I
open.
think people are so closed off to their beliefs and their upbringings that they're not willing to open up to see things for what they really are.
Like you said earlier, you said earlier on in the conversation, it's like you don't want to look at your race and think that you're bad, but it's not really. I feel like opening up doesn't mean that, oh, I'm accepting that my race is bad. That's not it. It's just there's something wrong. The whole race as a whole is not bad. It's just if you keep denying these things, then things are not going to change. And,
And at the beginning of our friendship, I really didn't want to see her as black. I wanted to see her as my friend Erica. I didn't want to talk about the race. I didn't want. It was hard. I didn't want to talk about
She's
that.
She's very non-confrontational.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she thought all of that would bring confrontation. But I've recently told her, I said, you can't not see my color.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge my color and the things that I go through. I don't go through a whole lot, but there are some things. And I have students that I teach that look like me. And I'm dealing with things every single day because of the social injustices that's going on currently. Like I have to go into the classroom and be able to deal with children who don't understand why things keep happening or why they can't, get pulled over and have to have all of these different rules that they have to follow. Whereas she never has to talk to her son about that.
No.
Right.
And we talked about early on, I didn't want black sons. I prayed to have 2 daughters. Like when I was pregnant with Nyla, everybody wanted a boy for Nikhil. I'm like, on the inside, I was like, I don't want a boy because I don't want to have to deal with that extra pressure of having a black son. Yeah. And so she was like, wow. I was like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Right. The things she said that she would have to, talk to her, nephews about and things of that nature. I was like, wow, I've never even dreamed of telling Tristan some of the things that you would have
You don't
to
have
tell
to have
your
that
family.
conversation.
No.
And you have to do it very early on.
Right. I'm not scared for his life. I'm not scared when he's pulled over.
Yeah,
by the
like
police.
with Khalil, with my son, he's a sensitive soul, so we have to give him little bits and pieces. But yeah, like we tell him now, I mean, he's 12 and it's like, you can't do the same things that your friends are doing. So if you guys are out and say, hey, we want to go egg a house. I don't know if kids still do that, but you know what I'm saying? That's an example. Like, yeah, you can't do that. Because you're going to be looked at as a little heathen, and your friends are like, "Oh, that's just a cute little prank."
The term is thug for our
thank
boys.
you. Yeah. And even as something as minor as like him when he has a hoodie and he puts the hoodie on his head, something as minor as that like breaks my heart.
Yeah, you don't want him to put the hood on.
And it's not like he's dark skinned, but he's still. I mean, I'm Hispanic. His dad is black, and I'm Dominican and they're black as hell. So, it's like he has those traits. It doesn't matter that he's like, oh, light skin or brown or whatever. People go off on these different like shades of brown. No, we're all black. Like we're black and the world sees us that way.
That's been our conversation
and the
too.
whole shade thing. Yeah.
But no, I tell her, I was like, we've recently been talking about Kamala Harris and how she identifies as black and Indian, but in the U.S. she's black.
She's black, yeah.
She
looks black, and she
looks black. She went to HBCU. She pledged a black sorority. I mean, she identifies as black because you know what? That's how they see us anyway.
Yep.
It doesn't matter that my grandmother is French Canadian. My daddy don't say white; he say French Canadian. She white. It doesn't matter that she was white and that I'm a fairer skin and I have a different texture hair, and then when it's pressed out, I look different. Some people mistake me as being Hispanic. I get that a lot, but I'm still black.
Yeah.
And especially when I open my mouth.
Yeah, then we know you're really black.
Especially when you're home.
Everybody like, oh.
They're like,
We know what y'all now. Never mind. We had questions, but never mind.
That is hilarious when she opens her mouth.
But I want you to chime in. Because we still have very hard conversations. Recently, as of probably last week, after the debates and everything. You know, because I get frustrated and make these general white women statements. And she like, but I'm white. And I'm like, I'm not talking about you in our circle specifically. I'm just saying, you know, in general.
Yeah.
And so she gets highly offended sometimes. And so I
know both of, I mean, she has a good heart and she really doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's just, I guess sometimes just talking about it can be so much. And
it is. Mm-hmm. It isn't a lot. Because sometimes I don't want to talk about it either. Right. I'm just like, can we just
I don't always.
Can we just like live? But it's what is happening in our country.
Right.
Whether we like it or not, it is happening. And we have to talk about it.
Right. I don't always, and I don't bring it to her a lot because I know it's a lot for her to handle sometimes. But it's like, hey, you're my best friend. And at the end of the day, I need to be able to talk to you about how I'm feeling because these things are going on in the world. And I should be able to talk to you about that without you getting offended. I just need you to listen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And not take it personally.
And you're not bashing her.
Right. I'm not bashing you.
And, you know, a lot of our friends that are white, because we live in a very white area. I don't care what anybody says, but we live in a white area and here outside of Atlanta. And we're not talking about every single person. It's just the society as a whole that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I've gotten better.
Yeah,
you've gotten better. But you would go Karen on me sometimes.
No, you didn't. You did not call her a Karen.
Hey man, I'll be like, hey man, you going Karen right now.
No, you don't.
Yes, really? I do. Then she gets
shoot,
angrier.
Oh my gosh.
It's very hard. Like if people tell you that they have any type of interracial relationship that is on any type of intimate level, if they try to tell you right now their house is good or their friendships are good, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
If you're having real conversations, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And it has not been easy through this pandemic, through all these social injustices. Like it hasn't been just unicorns and rainbows. You know, you have to have the
But you guys already had a very tight friendship leading up to what's happening. Like me, I'm having conversations with like newer friendships and I'm just like, ooh.
That can be exhausting.
I'm not as invested in this friendship.
If you're not invested,
I mean, I am to a point. And so I'm just having a hard time.
Yeah.
But
because the thing is, like, I haven't been I'm Puerto Rican Dominican, and I don't have one story, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm oblivious. I don't know. But for me personally, I don't have any stories of discrimination for me. But doesn't mean that I don't see that other people get discriminated against. And like Philip, you know, he's a black man, but he was raised in a very middle class area neighborhood. He has a few stories. But I think he's been blessed that he doesn't have like all these stories.
But he takes the necessary precautions, like the photo of your family.
Well, that's true.
So
he does that on purpose.
Right.
So for our ads, he's a dentist and we have a practice. And so on purpose, we take a family picture so that anybody that comes into the practice knows what he looks like, because he did have that before he had his own practice when he was just working, you know, for another company where he had people here in Georgia walk in and walk out. Right. Also, he was young too. He looked like, I mean, he was like in his 20s, so he was young and black. Yeah. So, but even though that I haven't, I mean, even still don't get discriminated against in my face, it doesn't mean that I'm not for the movement and
I don't have
understanding
like
it.
Straight up like a bunch of stories because I am on the light skin side where, you know, where we grew up, you pass, as they call it.
That's the word,
you pass. You meet the brown paper bag challenge.
Yep.
So
and hair texture plays a big part too when you have the because you can go from curly to straight easily. Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of stories, but I have enough, and I take precautions so I don't have those stories, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
Like you're always thinking about your next move before you make it. Like I got pulled over one time, and the first question was, and it was in this area. And hey man, then my tail light was out. I knew why he was pulling me over, but I got pulled over, and he didn't say, "Can I have your license and registration?" He was just like, "Do you even have a license?" But I had braids I had cornrows in my hair, not just regular braids, cornrows. And so, they call those jailhouse braids.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that's why I really got
He says,
the question.
"Do you even have a license?"
Yeah, he was like, "Do you even have a license?" I'm like, "Yes, I have a license. I have car insurance. Like, everything is legit."
Yeah.
And so he ran everything, and I was like, "I know my tail light is out. I'm just coming from my friend's house. I need to get it changed tomorrow." And so he let me go, but that's the question.
Just that interaction.
Right, I've never gotten that question.
Right.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. And so you take the necessary precautions.
Yeah.
Right. I remember her calling me, telling me that, and I was just floored. Like, really? I've gotten stopped a lot. I've never gotten that question. I've even gotten next got on a date from a police.
He asked you out?
Yes. So, never is your
Were you
license
speeding?
legit. Yeah, I was speeding.
And then he asked you out on a date?
Wow.
Okay. Well, all right then.
Right. So that's where we are right now. And we still have hard conversations, and we'll continue to have hard conversations because, what's your word you always use for me?
Harsh.
Harsh. And I don't like that word. I said you can use abrasive.
She says that you're harsh.
Right.
Yeah.
I said, I don't like that word.
Yeah.
So I'll give you abrasive. So
Yeah. Because
so,
if a white woman is acting like that, it's like, oh, she's just, she knows who she is and knows what she wants. But when a black woman is like that,
it's angry
or harsh
or
aggressive. Yeah.
Oh, girl, we had a drag out. What was that last week? Because you want to call me aggressive? I ain't going for that.
She just did that to press your buttons. Yeah. She did.
So anyway,
yeah, we had that actually here. In the neighborhood, we had a conversation like that, and she will probably be listening to this, but it happened. So, so she called. So she's white, and we have a girl in the neighborhood who's black, and kind of went off on her. Not off, actually. In my opinion, she didn't go off on her. She just pretty much was texted us as a group. Well, you need to look at these articles, and because the white friend doesn't really see what's going on. And she called her aggressive. So the other friend, there's four of us, the other friend just jumped on her, was like, don't you ever call a black woman aggressive. Right. She's just expressing herself.
Right. And because we're expressing ourselves with passion doesn't make us aggressive.
She's like, well, I felt she was aggressive and I felt like she was coming strong. I'm like, strong, maybe, but aggressive. She's just like, if you were doing the same thing, no one would say that you were being aggressive. It's just like, okay, well, that's just what she feels and that's her opinion. And I didn't even think about that until that moment. I was like, damn, that's so true. It's like, so I'm more aware too. I'm like, I shouldn't say
I ain't taking that from her. You ain't going to call me ghetto. Yeah. You're not going to call me aggressive. You're not going to call me angry because I'm passionate about what I'm telling you. And especially if I'm telling you about yourself, you need to hear it.
Yeah.
So accept your shit and don't call me aggressive.
That's a trigger word.
Right. Girl,
write that down, Rachel. Do not call her aggressive or harsh. What do we call you, E? Passionate.
Passionate.
We're just passionate.
We're passionate.
We are. That's what I like. It's true. When I get mad and Philip is like, I'm like, I'm just being passionate.
Right.
That's all it is. Passionate about certain things. So this is just
and that's just one level of our friendship. We have many more.
Yes. And so we are not going to go into that because we're going to leave that for a later. I'm calling this a series with Rachael and Erica because they, like I said, are a fascinating duo. And there's so much more coming from them. But I just wanted to establish their friendship and how it came to be because there's going to be a part 2 and 3 and maybe 4. Yeah. So this was the foundation of their friendship and how we arrived at this moment. And any other funny stories you'd like to share before we say Adios.
You got anything? Or are we gonna wait? Y'all just stay
wait.
tuned because
All right, we're
we
gonna
got
stay
more for
tuned
you.
because they're coming back on in the next few weeks. I'm gonna have them back on, and we are going to part 2 of their friendship. So, ladies, thank you so much for coming on, and
Thank you for having us.
Wait
I
for
know.
future episodes for our future series. Love you, ladies.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Everything I've been through and everything that I've seen has turned me into the woman that you see. Behind all of the smiles and all your favorite melodies, with a fist full of tears, years full of pain, y'all don't hear